This is a presentation about the material that appears in Chapter 1 of our Ultimate Phrasal Verb book, the textbook for this course. Of note, the grammar point for this chapter was about separable and non-separable phrasal verbs, and I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can tell from the textbook which are which. In our book, the way to tell if a phrasal verb is separable or non-separable is to look for an ellipsis. This is the 3 dots that will appear between the main verb and the particle. If the phrasal verb has an ellipsis between the main verb and the particle, it is separable. If there is no ellipsis, then it is non-separable. For example, if you see the words come from, you notice there's no ellipsis there, and so that would tell you that this phrasal verb is non-separable. But in the phrasal verb figure out, you see the ellipsis, and that tells you that that phrasal verb is separable. That's just how they do it in this textbook. Okay, so one thing you should remember is that one phrasal verb can have many meanings. So although this chapter only has 8 phrasal verbs, there are more than 25 meanings shown. Sometimes one phrasal verb has several different meanings. You'll see that as we go on. So first, I want to talk to you about put on and take off. And one thing is that these phrasal verbs are often sort of opposites. They are not always opposites, but they are often opposites. So they kind of go together, and I think it's helpful if we learn them together. So you can think about things that can be worn on your body, such as shoes or socks, clothing, makeup, jewelry. These are all things that are put on and taken off. Okay, so you can put on your shoes in the morning when you go to school, and you can take them off when you get home. Things that can be placed on top of or removed from a surface like a table or a wall are put on and taken off. This is also the same for virtual surfaces, which is why we can put software on our computers and take it off our computers, for example. When you become heavier, you put on weight, and if you lose weight, you take it off. So one of the meanings for put on and take off has to do with getting heavier or lighter in your body. And when you attach something, you put it on. And when you detach something, you take it off. So for example, if you do some work on your house and you build a new room on the house, you can say that you put a new room on the house. If you have a keychain, that's a group of keys together, and you have an old key that you don't need anymore, you can take it off the keychain. Okay, so let's look at some illustrations. Here we see a girl, she is putting on makeup. We say she is putting on makeup, and we can understand that she is putting it on herself. In the other picture, somebody is putting makeup on the woman. So you can put makeup on yourself, or somebody can put it on you, like that. Okay. And in this one, she is obviously taking off her makeup. In these pictures, we see a woman who is putting on weight because she's pregnant. People put on weight when they're pregnant. And in the other picture, we see maybe a new mom with a young baby, and maybe she's doing some exercise and she's trying to take weight off that she gained when she was pregnant. So you put on weight and you take off weight. Okay. Look at the little girl on the left. She wants to play outside, and she is putting on her shoes. There are lots of places you can go in the world where you must take your shoes off before you go. So in this picture, you have to take your shoes off before going into this temple. Okay. This is like a barn in the left, something like this. And you can see that there are men working on the top of the building. The top of the building is called the roof. In fact, they are replacing the roof. They are putting on a new roof. So these men are putting a new roof on the building. Now, think about if you've seen the news after a big storm or tornado or hurricane. You'll sometimes see a picture like this. If you look, you see that part of the roof or part of the house is missing. we can say that part of this roof on this house was taken off by a tornado. Part of the roof was taken off by a tornado in this picture, and in the other picture the men are putting a new roof on the barn. So you can use it like that. On the left we see a man, and he is getting ready to put something on the wall. So again, that's a surface. You can put things on the wall. And in the other picture, there was something hanging here, and it looks like the owner has taken it off the wall in order to repaint. You can see the tape where he has measurements, I think, maybe for putting it back on. Okay, let's move on. Come from. This is a pretty straightforward phrasal verb. It means originate in a place or be from a place. So every person and everything comes from some place. And you can ask somebody, where do you come from? Or you can say something like, sushi comes from Japan. By the way, did you know that approximately 80% of words in English come from other languages? Isn't that crazy? Some commonly used English words probably even come from your language. So let's think about how we would use it for people. This is a map of the United States on the left, and I could say Marion originally comes from Oregon. That's the state that I was born in. And then if you look over on the right, I can say her husband comes from Georgia. Georgia is where the city of Atlanta is. That's on the East Coast. So you can think about, where do you come from? Or do you have friends or relatives that come from somewhere else, someplace different than you? Also, sometimes we see things that are unusual, and so I just put this here for fun. Can you guess where these things come from? On the left we have a jar of Marmite, which is a sort of yeast extract. It's a salty spread some people eat on toast, and Marmite comes from the United Kingdom. On the right is a musical instrument called an oud, and they come from the Middle East. Originally they come from Mesopotamia, which is the area that's now Iraq, although now they are, I guess, common throughout the Middle East. So Marmite comes from the UK, and ouds come from the Middle East. Next phrasal verb is figure out. Now, if you don't understand something, and then you think about it for a while, and you succeed in understanding it after you think about it, that means you figure it out. So, I just updated a bunch of things on my computer, and I don't understand everything right now. So someone could ask me, Marion, have you figured out how to use your new computer yet? And the answer is actually no, not yet. Also, we sometimes use figure out for people. If somebody is difficult to understand, you can say that you can't figure them out. So for example, my cousin is a little bit strange. People have trouble figuring him out. They don't usually understand him. So you can figure out information, or figure out the answer to a problem in your homework, or figure out people. Okay. So, this is kind of fun. Let's watch this optical illusion together.
It's called the Ames room.
That is so bizarre. Clearly, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a very, very tall person over there and a short person over there. And when they swap over, there's a moment where my brain just goes clunk. I absolutely know this is an illusion, but my brain just won't let me see through the illusion. So how's it done? Well, if you come over this way, it's really obvious. Hi there. Thank you.
I think that that one is kind of neat, and so once you look inside the room you can figure out how the optical illusion is done. Okay, let's talk about the phrasal verb give back. Usually this is just used to mean to return something to someone. So if you give homework to your teacher might grade it and then give your homework back to you. your teacher will return your work to you. Imagine your sister borrows your favorite dress, but then a few weeks later you need it. If she really likes it, maybe she has not given it back yet. You may have to ask her to give it back to you. Okay. Look for means try to find something specific. Maybe you've noticed that if you go into clothing stores in the United States, right away a sales assistant will come up and ask you, what are you looking for? This means, what specifically do you want to find? And in lots of kinds of stores, for example a Target or even a grocery store, when you go to pay for your purchases, the clerk might ask you, did you find everything you were looking for? These are very common sort of polite questions that you run into all the time in sort of American shopping situations. So look for means try to find something specific.
Sorry, Harry, I'm going to have to
In
leave.
this film
Dumbledore
clip,
will be
we're going to
wanting
see it's Harry
you want to
Potter,
see me?
and you may have seen the movie.
Your train leaves
Harry
in 10
Potter is a
minutes.
young
Here's
boy,
your ticket.
and he is
Stick
looking
to it,
for
Harry, that's very
something
important.
very
Stick to
specific,
your
and he's
ticket.
having trouble finding it. So try to figure out what he's looking for and why he's having trouble finding it. Here we go.
But Hagrid, there must be a mistake. This is platform 9 3/4. There's no such thing, is there?
Sorry.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Passageway on your left, madam.
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me where I might find platform 9 3/4?
9 3/4. Think you're being funny, do you?
Same.
Okay, so as you can see from this clip, Harry is looking for platform 9 3/4. This is a very specific place that he is supposed to go to catch his train. And the reason he is having trouble is, of course, that it's magical and can't be seen by ordinary people. All right, run into. So run into is one of these phrasal verbs that has a variety of meanings. If you are driving a car and you hit something, that means you run into it. If you meet someone you know unexpectedly, you run into them. And if you have an unexpected problem while trying to do something, you run into problems. Okay, I got some pictures here. On the left, look at this bicycle tire. It's flat. So, let's say I go outside to get my bicycle and I want to go for a bike ride. I look down at my tire and I realize I can't go for a bike ride. I've run into a problem. I have an unexpected problem. In the picture on the right, you can see this car has run into a fire hydrant. Looks like it's pretty badly damaged.
Rachel?
Why?
Oh my God!
I swear I've seen birds do this on Wild Kingdom.
So when I run into my friends, that's not what I do. But you can tell that she's very excited to see her old friends and that she was not expecting to see them. Okay. Show up. When something or someone arrives or appears or becomes visible, that means they show up. So let's say your friend is having a party and your friend invites you to a party. You could ask, hey, what time should I show up? And that means, what time should I come to the party? Causes the message to show up. So as you can see, the invisible ink was actually lemon juice, and the demonstrator caused the message to show up by exposing the lemon juice to heat. Okay. I wanted to revisit the phrasal verb put on. I told you a lot of meanings of put on that are opposite of take off. But there are some other meanings of put on that are not related to take off, and I wanted to talk about those really quick. Okay. One meaning of put on is organize a show or an event. So if you think back to elementary school, like when you were a little kid, maybe you did some kind of play or you were in a concert. You could say, I put on a concert, or my class put on a play. All right. Also, put on can be, for example, when you tease someone and you tell them something that's not true. For example, Marion said that her father is the president of Argentina. Then somebody might say, oh, I think she's putting you on. Putting you on means sort of lying to you or joking with you. The president of Argentina is a woman. Okay, so clearly if I tell you that my father is the president of Argentina, that's not true. I'm joking with you. And so you can say I'm putting you on. There's also a noun form, which is a put on. So you can say, Marion's father is not the president of Argentina. That was a put on. Let's revisit take off. All right, so when an airplane leaves the ground, it takes off. When you skip work or school to do something else, you take the day off. When your business becomes very successful and many people are buying things from you, your business takes off. When you leave a place very quickly, you take off. And when you reduce the price of something, you take that amount off. Let's look at pictures to help us understand that. So on the left we have the airplane and it is leaving the ground. So we can say the plane took off on time. It means it left the ground at the right time. Now there's also a noun form with take off in this meaning. And the noun form is one word, take off. We can say the takeoff was at 3 p.m. So the plane took off on time. That's the verb form. The takeoff was at 3 p.m. That's the noun form. Okay. And if we look at the right, we see some very happy people on the beach. They are not working very hard today, are they? Let's say they are taking the day off. They decided to not go to work or school today and instead to have a day where they do something else. They are taking the day off. All right. Now on the left here, we have a sales chart. And it says, sales are up by 700%. If this was your business, you could say, wow, sales are really taking off. They are taking off. It means they are growing quickly. There's a lot of sales. Sales are really taking off. On the right side, this is a coupon. Maybe you see something like this in a newspaper or an advertisement. This is an advertisement for a store that's having a sale for Labor Day. And the advertisement says you can take 20% off all clearance items. So if you go to the store and you find the things that are already on sale, you can buy them for a 20% discount during this sale. That's a pretty good deal. So when you go to the store, especially at the mall, especially near 3-day weekends, you will usually see signs that tell you you can take 20% off or 50% off. And that just indicates that you can have a discount of that amount.